Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Do you have some PPTs? Yes, now we can see you. Welcome, brother.
Now we can get started.
Yes, so our first speaker is Dr. Mehmood Khalifa. He is a visiting professor at Almaktoum College for Higher Education in the United Kingdom. His topic is enhancing research writing strategies for effective communication. Dr. Saab, over to you, please. You can start, please.
Thank you for this introduction. Really, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me for this wonderful session. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Now I'm going to make share screen. Okay.
Yes.
Now the PowerPoint is appear.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Let me first introduce myself. I am Professor Mahmoud Khalifa, visiting professor at Almaktoum College for Higher Education in United Kingdom and visiting fellow University of Lincoln, also in United Kingdom. Today we are going to address three topics. First one about the title, second topic about the problem, and last topic will be about the objectives. So let's get started about how to write a good title for your research. As we know, the first step in research to find a good title. So writing title takes just a fraction of the time you need to put down your work on paper. And you need to find a new idea, a new topic to attract all the readers or attract all the authors. As we see, how can you do this? Now we have few tips to write a title, okay? First one, start with a draft. You need to write more one title, and at the end you will choose one of them, okay? So first one, start with a draft. Second, choose what type you want to use. Here we need to differentiate between three types of titles. It's important, okay, to differentiate three types of titles. First one, declarative titles and descriptive titles and interrogative titles. As we, I think most of us related to social science. So second one, descriptive titles, is suitable for social sciences, okay? But we need to differentiate between the three types. As we see, declarative titles generally used in research articles.
Mehmood?
And
Dr.
yes,
Mehmood, sorry for interruption. We cannot see your slides properly. Please move on your slides from from first to second and from third. Yes, now we can see it, please.
now,
And make it larger. Make it larger, please. So it
okay,
will be quite visible to the audience, please.
like this. Now it's okay.
Okay, it's okay now. Now, wonderful. Please
Okay.
carry on. Thank you, brother.
Okay, thank you. So now we have, as I mentioned before, we have three titles. Declarative titles, interrogative titles, and descriptive. We need to differentiate between the three types. First one, declarative titles are generally used in research articles and they convey the largest amount of information. I will provide example, okay? I will provide examples for each title. Interrogative titles also takes a question suitable for literature review articles. And descriptive titles, as I mentioned, it's suitable for social science. Okay. Now we have examples for descriptive titles. Descriptive titles suitable for social sciences. As we see, the first title, the impact of social economic status on academic achievement in urban elementary schools. This is title. Second title of descriptive, investigating the relationship between mediation practices and perceived stress levels in undergraduate students. One more example of descriptive titles, a comparative analysis of traditional and online learning outcomes in a college business course. Those are examples of descriptive titles, okay? Declarative titles, okay? Those examples for declarative titles. Mindfulness-based interventions improve attention, and as we see, if we get back to definition of declarative titles, we will see generally used in research articles and they convey largest amount of information. If we get back to the example, okay, we will find a large amount of information in the title. It's not suitable for social science, but you should know this type of titles. Mindfulness-based interventions improve attention and emotional regulation in children with ADHD. Second example, renewable energy adoption increases energy security and reduces carbon emissions in developing countries. Last example of declarative titles, personalized nutrition recommendation enhance weight loss and metabolic outcomes in overweight adults. If we move to next slide, we will find the last type of titles. Interrogative. Interrogative titles, as I mentioned, it takes a question. For example, does incorporating gamification strategies improve student engagement in online course and question mark. So this type of questions take a question mark. Okay, the title in a question. Okay, how does air pollution exposure impact lung function in elderly population? Another example, can smartphone-based fitness tracking devices motivate increased physical activity levels? Okay, so now we have three types of titles. So maybe if you want to write article, you can use interrogative titles, any question. But in thesis or dissertation, master thesis or PhD dissertation, for example, so you must take descriptive title. Okay. Now we are going to know what the characteristics of good title. Okay. Good title should be interesting and engaging to the audience. Good title should accurately predict the content of the article. Good title should reflect the tone of the article and the journal while summarizing the content. The title should provide first impression and used by authors in the manuscripts. Useful question to ask when developing a good title. If you want to ask yourself, I have wrote a good title or not, you should direct a group of question, okay, to yourself. First one, what is the purpose of the article? Is this question reflect in title or not? Okay. What is the purpose of the article? What are the key questions addressed by the article? Is this question reflects in the title or not? Who or what is being studied? What methods are being used to conduct the study? What are the results of the study? So if you need to, if you want to test your title, you should direct those 5 questions, okay, if your title reflect the purpose, the key questions, what's being studied, the methods, and results of the study. Okay? It's very important to direct those questions to know if your title is good or not. Okay? How to formulate your title? As we see, we have few tips can help you avoid some of the most common mistakes when writing titles. First one, follow the guidelines of the publication manual. If you want to publish an article or in your college, in dissertation or in your thesis, most of college have a common requirements or guidelines you should to know. So first, follow the guidelines of the publication manual. The manual recommends simplicity and the use of concise statement when formulating your title. Moreover, words that carry little or no meaning should be avoided. Okay, no meaning should be avoided. Some avoid some difficult words. Okay, the public reader cannot understand, so you should avoid all words without meaning or difficult to understand. Avoid titles that are too long. By the way, according to American Psychological Association, they recommended the length of the title not more than 12 words. Okay, don't use long titles. Longer titles can be more difficult to remember. Okay, articles with longer titles are downloaded slightly less than those with shorter titles. This is very important. Okay, articles with longer titles are downloaded slightly less than those with short titles. If you want your article or your dissertation to make fast in search in the website, okay, you should short your title, not too long. Okay. You can sometimes use a column to add additional information to the title, such as the methodology, okay, like a comparative study, an analytical study, in the title. However, using a very long subtitle can sometimes be cumbersome and counterproductive. In such cases, you can try to rewrite the title, the colon, and see if any crucial information. Okay. Don't use acronyms in the title, abbreviations. Okay. Don't use abbreviations in the title. Readers who are not familiar with their meaning may simply skip your article. Okay. So don't use any abbreviation. Okay. Now we are moved to talk about the variables in the title. As we know, we have two variables in the titles, and you, as a researcher or as an author, you want to differentiate between two variables.
Dr. Mehmood, please keep changing your slides, please. Yes, variables in the research. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
As we see, we have two variables, and as an author, we need to differentiate between independent and dependent variables. If you determine each variables well, you will write a good research. So you have to reflect your titles. Okay, you have to reflect the both variables in your title, independent and dependent. Now we need to know what is the independent variable and what is the dependent variable. As we see, the independent variable is the cause. Its value is independent of other variables in your study. So independent variable is the cause. Okay. So the dependent variable is the effect. Okay. So we need to differentiate between the two variables in your title. The dependent variable is the effect. Its variable depends on changes in the independent variable. And I will provide you examples to know what is the differentiate between independent and dependent. Okay? As we see, okay, in this slide, to differentiate between independent and dependent. For example, if your question, do tomatoes grow fastest under fluorescent incandescent or natural light? So we need to determine what independent variable. As I mentioned, independent is the cause and dependent is the effect. Okay. The type of light the tomato plant is independent. The rate of growth is dependent. Let me take another example about social, not okay. If we go to the third question in the slide, how does phone use before bedtime affect sleep? The amount of phone use before bed is independent variable, and number of hours of sleep, quality of sleep is dependent. Just to move. Okay. Research example. You are interested in whether higher minimum wage impacts employment rates. So you can't control the minimum wage yourself. You look at the state as raised at minimum wage last year. So compared to your independent variable is the minimum wage. Your dependent variable is the employment rate. Okay. Are there any variables except independent and dependent? Sometimes you can use intermediate variable. Intermediate is help dependent variable to affect in the independent variables. Sometimes use 3 variables in the title. The third one called intermediate variable, okay, help dependent variable to affect on the independent variables. So there are other names for independent variables, as we see, explicit variable, predictor variables, right-hand side variables. Okay, those for independent. And other names for dependent variables, response, outcome, left-hand side variables for these 3 variables. Okay. Now we are going to move to second topic. How to write a research problem. But I need to ask you a question for you, if you focus with me, okay? What is the first step? What is the first step when you are going to write a thesis or an article? What is the first step? What do you think?
Topic selection. Topic selection of the topic.
Selection. Yes, first one, selection the topic. And what else? What after that?
And literature review.
Yes, exactly. Literature review. Why I'm going to literature review? I'm going to literature review because I need a new idea, a new topic. Okay. So first one, to choose the topic. Okay. And second step in research is literature review. Okay. So now the previous topic about how to write the title. So now, okay, we took the best steps of writing titles, and you need to differentiate between the 2 variables, and you need to reflect the 2 variables in your title. Second, okay, after choosing the topic and literature review, you're writing the title, you need to put your hand on the statement of the problem. Okay. How to write the problem. This is the next step, or the second topic. Let me share the okay, how to write a research problem. As we see, we need to differentiate between 2 types of problems: practical problems and theoretical problems. Okay. Practical problems aimed at contributing to change. Theoretical problems aimed at expanding knowledge. So you need to know first which problem you are going to address, practical problems or theoretical problems. Bear in mind that some research will do both of these things. In one research, sometimes you will find both problems, practical and theoretical, in one article or one dissertation on one thesis. Okay? The type of research problem you choose depends on your broad topic of interest and the type of research you want to do. Why is the research problem is important? Without a well-defined research problem, you are likely to end up with an unfocused and unmanageable project. Your topic is interesting and you have lots to say about it. You might end up repeating what other people have already said. Okay? Trying to say too much or doing research without a clear purpose and justification. You need a problem in order to do research that contributes new and relevant insights. So whether you are planning your thesis, starting a research paper, or writing a research proposal, the research problem is the first step towards knowing exactly what you will do and why. Step 1, identify a broad problem area. Identify a broad problem area. You have to read about your topic. Look for underexplored aspects and areas of concerns, whether conflict or controversy. Your goal is to find a gap that your research project can fill. Okay? Practical research problems. This type of problems, as I mentioned before, we have two types, practical problems and theoretical problems. If you are doing practical research, you can identify problem by reading reports. For example, or you might look for issues with performance or efficiency. If we are going to do a research about efficiency of organization or performance of group of employees or whatever, so first issues, processes, maybe practical problem about the processes. So first one, issues in performance or efficiency. Second, in processes that could be improved in an institution. Third type of practical areas of concern among practitioners in a field. Fourth type, in practical difficulties faced by specific group of people in society. If you want to focus on practice problem, you should talk one of those issues or processes or areas of concerns or difficulties. Okay? If your research is connected to a job or internship, you will need to find a research problem that has practical relevance for the organization. Now we are going to take examples of practical research problems. As we see, most of them related to social science, like voters turnout in region X has been decreasing in contrast to the rest of the country. Okay, this is an example of a problem about voter turnout in region X has been decreasing in contrast to the rest of the country. This is practical. This is practical problem. Another one, Department A of a company B has a high staff turnover rate, affecting productivity and team cohesion. Last example of practical problem, non-profit organization Y faces a funding gap. That means some of its programs will have to be cut. Those are examples for practical problem. Now we move to theoretical research problems. Theoretical, as we see, focus on expanding knowledge and understanding rather than directly contributing to change. So you can now identify a research problem by reading recent research, theory, and debates on your topic to find a gap. You might look for a phenomenon or context that has been closely studied, or contradiction between two or more persons or variables, a situation or relationship that is not well, okay, and a troubling question that has yet to be resolved. Theoretical problems often have practical consequences, but they are not focused on solving an immediate issue in a specific place. And now we are going to provide examples of theoretical research problems. Don't forget that the practical, it was about issues, it was about processes, okay, about performance, or about efficiency. Now, examples of theoretical research. We have three examples. The effects of long-term vitamin D deficiency on cardiovascular health are not well understood. The relationship between gender, race, and income inequality has yet to be closely studied in the context of gig economy. Historians of Scottish nationalism disagree about the role of the British Empire in the development of Scotland's national identity. As we see, the three examples is theoretical problem, not practical. Step number 2, learn more about the problem. Learn more about the problem. So you have to find out what is already known about the problem and pinpoint the exact aspect that your research will address. So you need to determine context and background. Who does the problem affect? Has it been an issue for a long time? What research has already been done? Have any solutions been proposed? What are the current debates about the problem, and what do you think is missing from them? Those questions you have to direct to the problem. Okay? Also about specificity and relevance, what particular place, time, people will you focus on? What aspects will you not be able to tackle? What will be the consequence if the problem is not resolved? Who will benefit from resolving the problem? And now we are going to provide example of a specific research problem. As we see, non-profit organization X has been focused on retaining its existing support base, but lacks understanding of how best to target potential new donors. To be able to continue its work, the organization requires research into more effective fundraising strategies. Okay? We just have few minutes left, so we going to the research objectives. This is the third topic, writing a research objectives.
Mehmood, we cannot see your slides, please. If you change
Now-
the slides, please.
Now it's okay?
No, not yet. The relevant slide, please change the slides.
I already changed it.
No, this is under names of dependent variables. We are still on the slide number 29. Now your slides are not visible, please.
Now,
Yes, writing research objectives. Yes. Now
okay.
we can see, we can view your slides.
I stopped the share and restart the share again. Okay, no problem. The third topic, we have just a few minutes remaining. Okay, so I will try to be fast or quick as I can. Writing research objectives. The research objectives drive all aspects of the methodology. So all objectives reflect the methodology you are going to address in your thesis or your research, including instrument design, data collection, analysis, and the recommendation. Okay, what are the uses of the research objectives? As we see, serves as the researcher's guides in identifying the appropriate research design. Identify the variables of the study. So the objective, or when you are going to write objectives, it should identify the variables of the study, whether independent or dependent. It specifies the data collection procedures or a corresponding analysis for the data generated. What is the difference between aim and objective. Aim what you hope to achieve, but objective, the action you will take in order to achieve the aim. Aims are a statement of intent. They are usually written in broad terms. Objectives, on the other hand, should be specific statements that define measurable outcomes. For example, what steps will be taken to achieve the desired outcome. When writing your objective, try to use a strong, positive statement. Six important guidelines that should be observed when developing a research objective. Number one, they should be presented briefly and concisely. Don't write long objective. They should be presented in logical sequence, according to the content of your thesis. They should be realistic, okay? Achieved within the expected time frame or achieved within the available resources. Also, they should be phrased in operational terms in a way that brings the organization closer to its business objectives. They should use action verbs that are specific enough to be evaluated or measured. They should be static once the study work begins. I will try to move number of slides. Okay, what the research must achieve, example of weak objective, and why it's weak, example of stronger objective. As we see, there is a weak objective and why it's weak, and in the blue or background, stronger objective. So weak objective like collect rating of the organization on a variety of factors. First, use verbs can measurable, like collect, sorry, like assess, not collect. Okay. So the verbs must be measurable. Measurable, I can measure it. Don't use verbs non-measurable. Weak objective like collect rating of the organization on a variety of factors. This is weak objective. If we see the stronger objective, okay, assesses perception of the organization within the service region and determined is another objective, similarities and differences among segments of individuals. Also, weak objective ask people why they currently support or choose not to support the organization. This is weak objective. You should measure the factors that may have spurred donors to give the organization, may inspire non-donors to give, have contributed to lapsed donors ceasing to give. Also, another example, as we see, discover all the media and the information sources. As an author or as a researcher, you can't do it. Discover all of the media and information sources. This is weak objective. If you want to write a good objective, you should use understand the communication channels used by community members. What information sources are most influential when deciding which nonprofit organization to support? Last slide about the objectives. Objectives should also be SMART, S-M-A-R-T. S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R realistic, and T for time constraint. So your objectives must be SMART, specific, measurable, specific, precise about what you are going to do according to the variables. Don't forget your variables. Who affect on what? Which variables affect? And measurable. You will know when you have reached your goal. Achievable. Don't attempt too much. Okay? So if we retrieve to about the recommendation, don't write a long objective. It's look like the achievable. Don't attempt it too much. Realistic. Do you have necessary resources to achieve the objective or not? And you must put time frame to achieve the goal. All achieve the objective. Now, if you have any questions about the title, about the research problem and objectives, okay, you can ask me any question about those three topics.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mehmood Khalifa, for your time and very insightful lecture on the topic of research writing your proposal. The floor is open to all the students, the audience. If you have any questions which you would like to ask of Professor, floor is open.
Myself is Abdul Samad. I'm a second semester student. My question is the research objective can cover the research problem? Is yes, then how? If yes, then how? If no, then why?
Samad,
I
please
didn't
repeat it.
hear him well. So if you repeat the question.
Please repeat the questions and slowly.
No, you, because you are close to the microphone. You can.
Okay, you come here. You ask your question from here because you are not clearly audible. Okay, ask your question, please.
Sir, my question is research objective can cover the research problem? If yes, then how? If no, then why?
The research objectives reflect what? Sorry?
Covers the research problem.
The research problem.
Yes. Does the research objectives cover the research problem?
Sure.
Is there any
Yes.
correlation? Yes. If yes, so how?
If no, then why?
If
Okay.
no, then
For
why?
example, okay, this is a good question.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. This is a good question. The objective. What is the objective of your research? We have a problem. Okay, we have a research problem, and you are, as a researcher, the only one to solve this problem. How to solve this problem? You should, okay, list a group of objectives to solve this problem. Okay, and you have to put your hand on who affect on what. What are the variables? Okay, what is the independent variables and what is the dependent variables? Okay, if I say, for example, if I said the relationship between India and Pakistan, for example, Okay. India and Pakistan relationship, it's equal Pakistan-India relationship? Of course not. Okay. If I start with India, India is independent variable. If I started with Pakistan, Pakistan now is independent variable. So you need to put your hand on what is the independent and what is the dependent. Okay. And then you write your problem statement, and then you write objectives as we see with a SMART rule, okay, specific, and then your objective going to achieve or to solve the problem, okay? Any more questions?
Okay. Any other questions?
Assalamualaikum. My name is Arjuman Farooq. I have two questions. Number one is, what is the importance of the research objectives in academic research? And second one is, how do clear research objectives help in making a study more organized and focused?
First one, what is the importance of?
What is the importance of the research objective in academic research?
Okay, each research, each thesis or dissertation must have an objective. Okay, you need to achieve it. So there is no research or no thesis, okay, without objective. You need to write just one for an. If you wrote an article, one objective is fine. Okay. One objective is fine. If you wrote a PhD dissertation or master's thesis, for example, you must list them in at least 4 or 5 objectives, because thesis is more, you need to be more analysis. Okay. So objectives is important to solve your problem, to achieve what you done before. Okay. So it's very important. There is no objectives. There is no research without objectives. Second question, sorry, if you repeat it again.
How do clear research objectives help in making a study more organized and focused?
Okay, as I mentioned, that the objectives, you need to achieve all the objectives, okay, in your article or in your thesis. So you need to be specific. You need to be specific in your topic, reflect all the variables, okay, to achieve all them. And as I mentioned, you have to use verbs, okay, measurable. For example, I can say collect all the sample or all the community. You can do it because the community is million of people. You can do it.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, very quickly, we will take another question.
My question is about variable. Sir, could you please elaborate how to choose a suitable variable for our research? And what are the parameters of selecting the suitable variable?
Okay,
If you-
let me repeat it. What is the
Yes.
criteria for the selection of variable? His question is, what is the criteria for the selection of variables in research?
There is no criteria. You should, okay, know what effect on what. For example, if I give you an example, if I take the voting system, or okay, the voting system on, I need to study the voting system and its impact on democracy. Okay. Here, the voting system is independent. Okay, the voting system and democracy is dependent. So I need to differentiate between the two variables, who independent and who dependent, who affect on what. As I mentioned, the independent is the cause, dependent is the effect. Okay, so you need to differentiate between variables first, and you will start your study. Okay, you will study this variable and what its impact on the other variable. Okay.
Okay, so any other question which you would like to ask from the professor, Dr. Mehmood Khalifa? The floor is still open. If you have any question, any ambiguity which you would like to clarify. No questions. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mehmood Khalifa, for your time and very insightful presentation on writing the research proposal. Hope to see you again. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you
Bundle
very
of thanks.
much. I hope all
you.
are great. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you, Dr. Faisal. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for all. Thank you for everything. Thank you, and see you one time again. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.